Hi guys, Bill Trombley from Trombley Tool in East Troy, Wisconsin. This is part 2 of thumbnail die use and some of the issues. This was a discussion that popped up on the All Metal Shaping forum. For guys that are metal shapers that want to see an excellent resource of information, join All Metal Shaping forum. Great group of guys, a lot of excellent information. It took my career and catapulted it. I'm professionally making airplane parts now, metal shaping pieces. And a lot of it was from All Metal Shaping, and then I developed a tremendous amount of friends from All Metal Shaping. It's an excellent community, great people, join All Metal Shaping. So as you can see, I got a couple thumbnail dies. All different kinds of flavors. Some work excellent, some work terrible. So we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about tuning dies a little bit. I don't tune a lot. And if you watch the video one on power hammer technique, you'll see why. So let's go ahead and we'll talk about it. One thing you'll notice on a lot of the dies I use regularly, I have written on a Sharpie, it says go slow. You'll see that in video 1, why. It makes a difference. So I too get in a hurry and start causing trouble again. So go slow with your stuff. So when it comes to, there's several different kinds of materials you can see that are present. I got plastic dies and I got tool steel dies. I have some basic stainless steel dies. I even have 3D printed plastic dies that a friend of mine gave me that are extremely small. These dies here are used in a CP planishing hammer. It's an idea and a concept I have. My background is I'm a machinist. I own a machine shop. So I have CNC machining equipment, so I have the capability to make this stuff easily, relatively. So I experiment, I have an idea, and I go, well, I'm going to try it. So that's what some of this stuff is. It doesn't mean that it's practical, but when you have ideas and you can do it, that's how you learn and everything. So I highly encourage that if you have the capability. So let's talk about, first thing is like with tuning. So a lot of dies, when they're purchased, is just the die blank itself, and you got to weld it to a stem like for a Pomax machine. These were some that I purchased that are welded on to a stems. These dies here I purchased from Fay Butler, and I had to weld them to a stem. And here's the thing that's critical to think about that. For me as a machinist, I think in thousandths of an inch. That's how we manufacture. If it was a component that was a weldment, we would rough machine the component, we would weld it together, and then we would finish machine it. We would never finish machine something and then weld it together. Why? The problem is heat distortion. It'll cause the part to warp and twist. So that's a challenge when you buy these pieces, is how do you know that they're still lined up after you welded it? And does it matter? Yeah, a couple thousandths interference hit will cause a stretch to occur. So now you're going to have a stretch occurring in the actual die area itself. And think of it, there's several different ways these could be out of alignment. We're going to use maybe these because they're a little bit easier to see. Here is if I have these and they're tipped like this is exaggerated, but tipped like that, or they're tipped fore and aft, that would be a problem. Or if they're rotated in relationship to one another. Those simple alignment problems can cause you all sorts of grief when trying to shrink. So how do you know? Put them in your machine and close the gap. Can you see light through them? That's one way of doing it. The way that I was taught, that I prefer, and these I just did with my set of big steel thumbnail dies in the sample piece of aluminum that I just did in the last video. I put these dies in there, and you put a piece of paper in there. And then you turn on the machine and you hammer it, and you don't move the paper. Stop the machine, pull out the paper. what you should see is this perfect contact area, which I have. Now I machine these dies. These dies is a Fay Butler design. And what I mean by that is there's, Fay had perfected some of this stuff, and there's some secret sauce that exists in thumbnail dies. And I made this set for myself. So you can see my contact area is as good as you're going to get. What's interesting is even in the piece of paper, it's already developing shape. You know, this is already shrinking down, which is pretty cool. So use the piece of paper. It tells you where it's printing. Very critical. Make sure that your dies are not warped from heat. Make sure they're lined up. Make sure they're not twisted. You'll notice I have these dies here segregated into two kind of main piles. Got these over here like this, and I got these round ones that are more so on this side of the table. There's a fundamental problem there that exists between this die and this die, and it has to do with the back edge. See how this is a radius right here on the side of the thumb? See how this is squared off like that? This area here is what closes the tuck. This here is ground away. These work like crap. Why? They don't close the tuck. Maybe I'm using them wrong. Maybe you give them to somebody else and you go, oh man, those are the best thing ever. Quite possible, but I haven't been able to get them done that way. You look at Stan Fulton's dies. You know, Stan sold hundreds of these dies. I don't know. And you can also buy Stans in 2-inch plastic, 3-inch plastic, or 2-inch steel ones. And I bought them all because Stan's an awesome guy. I like helping him out. And I like having the stuff in the shop because I get an idea. Well, they're in my drawer. I grab them and make something out of it. You know, if I got to make a stem, or, you know, I have a holder that holds them in my Eckhold machine, which I'm sure bothers some guys. I kind of find it humorous, but it actually does work, and it works quite well. So anyways, back to the point. If you look at these, corners are squared at the back. Allows the shrink to occur, so that's important to have. A lot of people don't realize that. With my Stan Fulton dies, you know, another thing here in the front is, you can maybe see it here a little bit. I accelerated this front edge, meaning I radiused it off. I talked to Stan about it, and he said, you know, if you can take the panel out of form and you don't have to do that. And he's 100% right, 100%. The thing is, though, with the airplane work that I get into, I make a lot of tight radius parts. And I cannot always take it out of form. That's the thing. I can take it out a little bit, but not enough that I needed to. So that's why I radiused off the front. But if you see here, there's still this horseshoe shape that's kind of silver from the aluminum right there. That has to stay. You need that to close the tuck. I was down in Nashville, Tennessee, visiting a friend of mine who had a set of thumbnail dies in his power hammer, and I showed up and he's like, he didn't even say hi. He's like, I want you to try this right now. He handed me a piece of aluminum. He goes, just try it. I'm like, what's in it? Because thumbnail dies. I'm like, okay, so I used it, and they worked like absolute crap. I mean, they were terrible. And I'm like, what the heck? So I take the hammer and knock out the wedge out of his power hammer. And this contact flat here was maybe 1/8 of an inch. And he goes, I go, dude, your dies are wrong. And he goes, see, I knew it. You know, he goes, this power hammer stuff is for the birds, can't use it, you know. And he's just befuddled. And I said, I'm telling you, I said, when I get home, I'll machine you a set of die holders. You know, I'll even give you a set of Stan Fulton dies for free. I promise it's your dies are screwed up. It's not that you can't shrink in a hammer. He's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm telling you. Well, I was down there for a metal shaping event, Jim Heary's Redneck Roundup, and the following morning he texted me a picture. He stayed up overnight and he made a set of holders for Stan Fulton's dies, and he goes, all my troubles are solved. So there's important geometry that exists in this stuff. In my last video, I said if you're going to tune it slightly. What I mean by slightly is take a little material off the front. I would leave the back alone. If you have any kind of an issue right here at the very top of the thumb, which maybe we can see like in this one here, you might accelerate this radius on there ever so slightly. That's about it. Is there secret sauce as far as making thumbnail dies? Yes, there is. Is that important for you to know to tune them? In my opinion, not so much. Am I willing to share that now? No. And the reason why is the person who's taught me this information, I had told him I would not. And out of loyalty to him and all that he's done for me, I'm not going to do that. And that's just the way it is. But you don't need to know that anyways if you're buying a set of dies and you're going to just use them in your Polmax. Are all dies created equal? No. There are a lot of dies out on the market that I think are terrible dies. The round ones we discussed, there's some of these here that get pretty darn small. If you look at the contact patch on them, it's ridiculous. I mean, I have them. Why? I don't know. I like thumbnail dies. Proline series die. That's a Proline. This was the first set of dies I ever bought when I got my very first Polmax machine. I thought I was off to the races. It was the most frustrating thing I ever went through. You know, you look at how mudded out that is. You know, there's no definition. You know, guys go, well, how do you know it's good geometry? Find a set of good dies. Stan Fulton's, I think these things are less than $100. Maybe they're right at 100, maybe a little bit more right now. I don't want to quote Stan's price. Talk to Stan, he's an awesome guy. He really is. If you want to build dies, get a set of his and model off of that. I mean, not to do it to compete against Stan, but, or buy his steel ones. Why even make them? These are a pain in the neck for me to make, and I own a CNC machine shop. So, something to think about. I don't know if this is beneficial to you guys, if this helps or not. If there's areas that I'm not covering or that you want another video for, let me know. Put it in the, note on all metal shaping. This will be on YouTube. I'm not sure I'm a YouTube guy yet. I'm not even sure I make good quality videos. So I guess let me know too. Remember that if you're looking for a gee whiz high quality video with music and light show and stuff, that's not who I am as a person. But let me know. Let me guess, or let me know what you think. If there's more information, data you want. If you guys want me to do this all of a video in a Polmax machine, in my Trump machine, let me know and I could do that too. So this is to help out the community, to try to get you guys to maybe see it the way that I do. Are thumbnail dies a good solution? Yes. Tons and tons of parts are built with thumbnail dies. If they're good enough to build World War II bombers that flew all over the world, they're good enough for us. And that's a lot of how this stuff was built. So let me know, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.